Hey guys, time for a video. Want to know why? Because I found this great log. I don't know if I'm even showing you that. Anyway, just off the trail, but it, sitting on these cool rocks overlooking Tapsco River. I always get my arm stretched out is easier. Anyway, that's a hard angle to do because I can't reach it. All right. Anyway, hopefully you can hear it. You can hear the birds. Not far from the road, so you'll hear cars zipping by soon too. But anyway, it's what I call my love nest. How do you get in a love nest? Why do you want to get in a love nest? I got a little bit excited. In my mind, I feel like I know how things are going to be, regardless of who's jumping in or not. I know how beautiful the planet's going to be when everybody's tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Or like I always said, 10% are totally locked in for the planet. Another 10% is all we really need. Tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Walk away from whatever you're doing. Mainly, though, you got to let go of it. All this stuff out of the back of your head and in your mind and in your memory and in your history and in the things you have labeled and the things you think you knew and the experiences that you've called X, Y, or Z, and really it was ABCs, just ABCs. So, you gotta unravel that stuff. No. You don't have to unravel it. It's a beautiful thing. You don't have to reinterpret it. You don't have to look at it. You just cut it. But pesky buggers. That's all I can say. So, you're gonna get some residual. You know, some things are really got big roots and they're gonna pop up while you're cutting. So, let's be practical. The trick is, though, when you have something about your past or about yourself that you can play back in your mind, then you want to allow that if it's coming, whatever. You're not going digging for stuff. You know that it's all, now that you have your new paradigm of everything being perfect and your connection to the higher self and the 24,000 years of the, just having my hand up made me have to say that, 24 million years, 1,000 years of the planet Earth going around the galaxy in its orbit, besides its orbit around the sun. In that big orbit, in that view of things, we already know that there's nothing you can do wrong when you come from perfection. You live this short time on life and you go back to all knowing and all perfection. We're just trying to get you to connect while you're here in this little space. Can you connect? Can you pull up? Can you let go and float up and get connected to the higher self, to the collective consciousness, and let the collective consciousness, which is always working through love, to work through you and create love around us? I think we can all commit to that from that big helicopter view. If you breathe it in and you spend time with just that vibration, don't pay attention to other stuff. Don't go down into it. Stay in the helicopter view. Helicopter view, mankind is growing because we're coming out of that low vibration of the 24,000 year journey around the galaxy. So we're coming out of the low vibration. When you're low vibration, that means you're pulled apart. You cannot get up into enlightenment or to in whatever you want to call it. Might as well call it enlightenment because everybody sort of puts that up as something so grand. This is something so grand. It's easy to be enlightened. Miracles, healers, psychics, channels, all that weird stuff, just going to be a thing. So we already should be connecting for our answers to things to people who are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, who are channeling. Does that mean every channel is like the gospel, the new gospel, we just write it all down? No. But you got to sift through anything. You talk to 20 people about a topic and 19 and a half of them are bad information, you know? So it's just, we know that. But what I'm getting at is tuned in, tapped in, turned on is not as hard to detect as you would think. I'm going to let you see some water because I want to see the water. So let's just forget about how it's going to be deciphering through who's connected and who's talking in a love language and who's talking in a fear language. If that's your biggest struggle, then really we're already past you in this conversation about the planet going around the galaxy and having a different vibration. So we move on. Once you know you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, lots of things will be different about how you conduct yourself and what you allow to be in your life, as far as holding on to something, because only fear would make you hold on to it, because it was a silly thing to have in your hand anyway. I don't know if that means anything to anybody. I felt that way. That was a funny interpretation of what I felt. I digress. So, what's really the objective today is to try to get ourselves mentally attracted to the idea of tuning in, tapped in, turned on, and then a little bit of practicality of some of the first steps, the challenges. All right? So, an example, meditation. Meditation, everybody says that's where you go. I'm saying to breathe in first. But the breathing, you're not going to, you can pay attention to every breath if you want to for 5 minutes and see if you can hold it up, but that's like work. but on the other hand, you can take some time, set aside some time anyway, and if thoughts come to you, you're repainting your past events. Did I already start that topic and I never really finished it? But the universe brought it back around. So we got this part of, we have decided that we've got some past things we just can't let go. So we hold on to those past, we re-review the past event, but now with our connected, tuned in, tapped in, turned on mind. As much of it as we can muster at the same time we're bringing up this really difficult event. The two of those commingling in your body is tumultuous. So you deal with that, you push through, and you try to find the most loving vision of what you thought encounter you did in the past, or happened to you, or witnessed. Whatever that situation was, it doesn't want to go away. You bring it to the front, and you love on it, specifically by repainting it, and saying, you know what, maybe I didn't see that right. Maybe it was good for me. Maybe it was good for the people around me. Maybe I didn't make the most horrible decision about it. Maybe I did just do the best I could. Maybe I did the best I could. Maybe everyone else who's around me did the best they could. And no one's to blame. So, put it back and say, you're welcome back anytime. We'll continue to paint that more lovingly, and you set it on your shoulder because you know it's something you're going to have to carry with you for a minute. You have to do that a few more times. And you, bye-bye. And you let it float. And you hope it doesn't come back, but if it does, you're just going to love on it even more. Say, I remember that memory, that thing you didn't like about yourself, and we spent some time loving it. I already feel better. What was it? Let's think about it. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's love on ourselves. So I talk about when you breathe in, when you start to meditate, the only direction to go is loving on yourself. There's a magic correlation between the amount you love on yourself and the amount of connection you get to the higher consciousness, to your collective consciousness, to the God source, to the light of divinity. Name it whatever you want. Everyone who taps in is tapping into the same thing. So all religions are just ways to name it in different ways. So pick the language you like it in, but go in. Don't worry about rules. That is definitely, it's so easy to tell when you're going down the wrong path. It seems like work, rules, that's that stuff that if you pulled your past out and repainted it with more rules, you just make it worse. There's no rules. You've done it perfect. We all were coming through a challenging vibration, and we've had people around us who have made it not so easy. So that's the way it is. We all came into this together. This is a good one to really lock down. Nobody came here by accident. Everyone came from all-knowing and perfection, coming through this life, wherever you are on this continuum, and then you go back to perfection and all-knowing, connect with yourself, whatever you want to call it, but you leave matter. So while we're in matter, wherever you are doesn't matter. Get it? But you want to just practice whatever you can to tap into that vibration from whence you came and whence you go. And what's going to happen when you do? Love's going to come out in the form of some type of expression of love in art. You could call it whatever it is. You can call it an art. The art of making sushi, whatever it is. You can say that's not art. It is for people who are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. So the tuned in, tapped in, turned on is mission 1. I hope I tied up all those pieces. If not, we're going to just keep revolving around the same point, because there's nothing but jump in, let go, take some things off your list. Your meditation's going to be a lot better if you have let some things go. And they may hurt a little bit, but it's like, oh, I cut a few things back there, and I'm kind of bleeding, and it hurts, and I got all kinds of emotions running through my head. Fine, sit down with that. That's cool. You're not going to go to sleep on that one. You're not even going to think you're meditating, but you'll just sit with yourself and just everything that pops up. How can I love on you a little bit? How can I see that more perfect? How can I give someone the benefit of the doubt and move on and say, and remind myself that there are no victims and there are no wrong things that have happened. There's only things that I've painted in a whatever way. With my twisted mind at the time, I painted the scenario as bad, dangerous, my fault, their fault, victim, perpetrator. Whatever I painted it with is irrelevant. I'm going to go back up, I'm going to go back to the river, and we're going to dump it. And now you have a nice, clean, empty mind. And don't clog it full of things and stuff and ideas and knowledge. You're not looking for knowledge. When it's clear, you let it go. Now you're looking for inspiration. The light of divinity, the collective consciousness, your higher self, your subconscious, your whatever. Tuned in, tapped in, turned on. When you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, it all makes sense. And what goes, you let it go. And what comes, you say, oh, beautiful. Oh, and it goes. Oh, and it comes and it goes. Beautiful things just come and go in life, and you'll create a whole new pattern on how we do all this stuff. Instead of looking at a book and saying, that's how you do it. This is what you're supposed to say in this situation. No. I tell this people all the time, employees from 20, 30 years ago. You got to be in the right mindset to have a conversation with another employee, or you got to be in the right mindset to have a conversation with a certain type of customer, because it's not what you say, it's how it comes across. So it's what energy are you in while you're talking. While the words are coming out, they show the vibration. So you can say nice things and the vibration's still there. Try that with your dog if you don't believe me. Anyway, last glimpse at the beautiful water. Hopefully you can hear it. Not too windy today. It was windy while I was walking here, but now it's perfect. So I feel a little bit blowing now, so reminding me. And that's it. Time's up. Wrapped up. I feel like I had some points that I developed, and I'm not sure I even followed all those threads. But anyway, we'll keep walking. Love you guys.